me a favor and like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Lift me up. Come on, babe.
The bell.
The bell.
The bell. The bell. The bell. What's up, fam? We're the Calloways.
I'm Pam.
And I'm Derek. And this is
Beating Heart.
Yo, what's up, fam? Thanks for stopping by and just taking a beat with us in the first of many videos to come. Remember, if you have any questions or comments, leave them in the comment section down below.
Yes, so if you feel like you can vibe with us, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Because, guys, we're going to be uploading some hot topics and content for you every second and fourth Monday.
Definitely, definitely. And we're real anxious to kind of start pouring into you guys' marriages, relationships, marriages to be. But we also understand that if the person you're pouring into or the couple that you're pouring into doesn't really feel like they can vibe with you or that you relate to them, then they really won't receive it.
So we would like to take you guys on a journey of our story of what was and what is.
Fill the people in on how we met.
Okay, guys. So this is how me and Derek met. It started back in 2005. I had just moved to Baton Rouge from Houston. At this time, Lil Wayne was like really popular, so I was infatuated with guys who had dreads. And so one day, we stayed in the same apartment complex, and one day I was sitting outside and I noticed this guy. Didn't see his face or anything. All I saw was the back of him with these long dreads down his back like Rapunzel walking into the house. And so I was like, oh my gosh, I like him. I like him. I gotta get to know him. So one day, me and my sister, we walk in to the store and we ran into his friend, Lazarus, and he came over to talk to my sister. And so I asked him, I said, hey, do you know the guy with the long dreads? And he was like, yes, that's my brother. I was like, oh my gosh, can you tell him I want to holler at him? And so a couple of weeks had passed by, and again, me and my sister, we were walking to the store, and he comes down, he sees us, so he walks up to me and he asks for my phone number.
Like a real?
So he asked for my phone number, and so that's when we began, you know, conversing and stuff. And anything that you want to share to go from there?
I know,
he was jocking me, y'all.
Nah, at the beginning,
you was blowing my phone up. Like,
let's be honest. I was blowing her phone up because I wanted to smash, like any dude do. At the beginning, at this point in our relationship or in this beginning stage, that's how my mindset was, you know, meet a female, get what I can get, move on to the next one. I was caught up in the streets so deep anyway, but at the same time, when we finally did link up, and you know, some people may have heard this story before, that when we finally did have that interaction where I was able to come to where she lived, my whole objective was I was gonna ride her. I wanted to get to know her until I see her this shoebox. She was a waitress.
Yeah.
She was a waitress, and she had this shoebox, and it was all her tips she was saving and everything like that. And so I was like, I'm gonna play this through, and the first chance I get, I'm gonna grab the shoebox and then I'm gonna be gone. She ain't gonna hear from me no more. But that never happened. That's not how everything played out. But that was my intentions, was to you know, get that shoebox. But I remember always constantly being kind of laughed at, or having the rest of the guys who was in the spot with me, because we didn't live in an apartment. She lived in an apartment. We lived in an apartment, but it was like a trap house. So she would actually see me going back and forth. Like I said, I lived the street life at that time. She was seeing me catching sales. So you know, the other guys who was in the spot with me, they'll kind of be ribbing me. They'll be like, man, you always, you know, hugged up with the little chick from down the street. We all be in the street. We'll be in the middle of the street.
He was jocking me.
We'll be in the middle of the street. Man, I was like, I'm a hit. Cause you know that's.
Besides that point, like let's be honest, you was really feeling me. You was feeling me.
I was feeling you, babe. I was feeling you, but I hadn't in it wasn't that infatuation stage yet to where it was like, oh yeah, oh I'm like, ooh la 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 la.
Okay, but can we get to that point? Can we get the people that point?
So it that took time. That part took time. I have never been the type to be with a female and just try to rush and tell her, you know, ooh, I love you, to try to get what I want. That has never been my MO. I'm gonna use my mouthpiece, or I'm gonna try to, you know, run game in any way possible, but never that. But you know, as time you know, progressed, I really, you know, began to like her. I really began to want to be around her a little bit more, and you know what everybody else was kind of saying about us, you know, being hugged up in the street, that didn't really bother me no more. Cause you know I kind of enjoyed the time that I had with her, and you know, of course, in any relationships, when you have that beginning stage, is full of, you know, like, oh, I just want to talk to you, I just want to be around you, because we'll be on the phone, and all of that, but once our relationship kind of started to move forward and the ball got to rolling, we really began to see how each other mindset was, and we fought a lot, we fussed a lot, and you know, different things transpired that caused us to really kind of question whether or not this relationship would last, because contrary to popular beliefs, if people see us now, people see us today, they'll think that we've had this relationship where you know, we just were in church, like we met at a revival or something, and you know, God told me this gonna be your wife, and God told her I'm gonna be her. It wasn't that. We actually met how she said we met. It was I saw him, I wanted to holler at him, she was jacking. But
it was.
Yeah, I don't blame you, baby. And you know, but we both had issues. We both had been in prior relationships, so we didn't really know who we were, for one. And I think of a lot of the arguments and a lot of the fighting that we did early on in our relationship was because we didn't know how to communicate to each other. We hadn't, you know, set any boundaries or plans or anything like that in place on, all right, this is proper communication. So, you know, time passed, and the question she would always ask me is, how long do you think we're going to be together?
I would ask it like every year, like every time a year rolls around to our like anniversary date, I would always ask them, how long do you think it's going to last?
And it was just, for me, it was like, you know, it is what it is. We gonna see. And, you know, I was still, just being honest, I wasn't 100% faithful to that relationship, like I may have led on to be, which she knew that I was still bouncing in relationships, not really relationships, but you know,
relations.
Yeah, just relations, not the shit part. And so times where, you know, altercations. We fought a lot.
Ooh, a lot.
I remember one of the most memorable arguments we got into in our relationship was, I don't remember what exactly we was fussing for, but it was just getting real out of hand, and I called myself leaving from where she was, and I just went down the street to another friend of my house, and I went in there and I told him, like, man, look, my girl tripping, don't open the door, she gonna knock, don't open the door. And so, you know, they was like, all right, cool, we got you. And so she out there, she like, open the door, they ain't gonna open the door, and she footed that door off the hinges, you know, straight booted the door off the hinges. So I had to end up, you know, buying them people a new door. And you know, those were just scenarios we had. Like when we was there, we were there. And I can remember also a time we got into it and you stole my money.
I took all your money, like all of it.
And she hopped in the car and left. And I tried. You ever watch the movies and you see them punch out the glass on the movies and it seemed like it's so easy? Don't try that.
Do not try that.
Not as easy as it looked. And so she was, talking crazy to me about, her take, because I had like a little safe. And so she took my safe, my money. She was like, hey, I'm gone or whatever. And so I tried to run up to the car, be macho, and try to punch the window.
It did not work out for you.
The window ain't cracked, but my hand fractured my hand, and it ain't never healed right properly to this day. But I chased her down, and eventually we ended up meeting, getting her to pull over in like what was it?
In like, St. Gabriel.
St. Gabriel. Ended up pulling her over, and we ended up getting out the car.
Just to start laughing at each other and hug each other and come back home. Right. That was dumb.
And it was just that young stupid love, and that was just a common phase with us with fighting and going to the extreme with certain things and throwing things at each other and whatnot. But I think my life in the streets, eventually though that caught up with me, and I had to go and do some time, and it was actually in prison that things kind of changed for me. That's where I actually developed my relationship with God, and it wasn't intentional. I was actually like going to like different call outs or whatever to pass stuff around, and I ended up just hearing the word that just kind of resonated with me, just kind of pricked my heart and just made me want to know more. It was different than what I was normally taught. This kind of like taught me about myself and my identity. And so once I got kind of caught up into that, I'm locked up at this time, and prior to that, if I could just back up a little bit, I was trying to kind of force her away, because I didn't really want to do the relationship, the jail, and you out there in the world relationship. I was like, go about your business or whatever. That was what I wanted to do, but that didn't end up, how I ended up playing it. So once this relationship with God developed, my thing was trying to get that to her, because I understood, and God revealed to me that we were so unequally yoked now at this point in time that either she was going to pull me back, not saying that she was just like this negative influence on me, but either I was going to go backwards to what the dude she met, or I was going to present to her the man that I had become. And so I would call her from jail and just kind of try to minister to her on the phone. You remember when I first tried to tell her about her being a spirit and not her flesh, not her body. And that conversation was just so complicated. But time progressed, and eventually I came home.
Yes.
And I did 3.5 years. When I came home, within this 3.5 years, she had developed a whole new mindset.
Yeah.
She had become I want to say like a whole new woman.
Not a whole new woman.
You was different.
I was different, but hey, life.
Yeah. She experienced some things, and I knew she was different, because like, I don't need no man, I don't need nobody. That was the mindset she had developed, and I had to remind her, like, hold on, I don't know what you've been through while I was locked up, or who you dealt with, but I'm not him. I'm not that person. I'm not whoever scarred you. And so it was kind of a battle getting past that point. But I had made up in my mind, and I told her when I was locked up that when I came home I was gonna marry.
When Derek came home from jail, things were different. we had already been in a relationship for about like 7 years now. And during the time that Derek was away, I kind of had my own thing that I was doing. So, when he came home, like I always knew that I wanted to be with him, but I just got caught up in a situation which left me broken. I didn't really know who I was. I didn't feel valued. I was just confused as a woman. So I knew that even though he wasn't the one that caused me any hurt or pain, I had a guard that was blocked, that a wall that was up, and so it was very difficult for him to come home and be able to love me and be able to be the man that God had created him to be, the husband. And so we went through a couple of things at the beginning, to the point where you almost was about to leave me, correct?
Yeah.
He was about to leave me, but however, we had to sit down, and it was hard because during this situation of trying to rebuild things with him, I had to also heal from a situation that left me broken. Yeah. But it was a blessing because Derek was able to speak, life into me and made me see myself in a whole new way. But we stuck it out and we made it through, and we decided that we wanted to move forward in marriage. You want to tell them?
Yeah, and so like the marriage was not your ideal marriage. Things were rocky. We were not in the best place financially at all. I was making like $200 a week at the job that I was at, but I knew I wanted to marry her. Couldn't afford a ring, so we ended up borrowing her mama ring and using it for her temporary ring. And
first of all, he did not propose to me, y'all. He did not ask for my hand in marriage. He didn't call my mom up and say, hey, I want to marry your daughter. He just simply told me, hey, you gonna be my wife. We get married next week.
Yeah, and that's pretty much how it went. We got married in my pastor at the time front room. We had some friends that assigned some certificates, and after that, she did her thing, and I did my thing, and we were still not in a place, like I said, in the best place financially. We were living at my grandmother's house at this time, sleeping on her floor, but we continued to develop this relationship with God. And I think as we begin to trust God more, He began to show up for us by opening doors. And you started going to school for hair. Mm-hmm. And I was still working that job at the time, and I was using that little $200 a week
to pay for my hair
pay for her hair school. And man, things just, like I said, God just showed up. I believe He saw our faithfulness. Yeah. And things just began to blossom for us from there. And I ended up getting a better job that put us in a better place financially. And we ended up getting our first apartment.
Yeah.
It wasn't the best apartment,
but it was ours.
We started in that thing, no furniture.
Nothing but some mattress.
Nothing but mattress.
Yeah.
But that was ours.
Yeah. And it's so crazy because a lot of people look at us now and they see how good we are doing, but most people don't know like how we started out. You have to be really crazy as a woman to decide to marry a man that y'all don't even have a place to stay. Y'all sleeping on an air mattress, no money, no nothing. But I love this man so much, and I saw the change in him, the transformation, that it made me want to stick with him, because like when he was incarcerated, he made all these promises, but he actually came home and he stayed true to those promises. So, some people probably would look like, girl, you gonna marry this boy? He just came home from jail. Y'all don't have nowhere to stay. Y'all barely making it. Like, what are you gonna do with this man? Y'all have nothing. But I am so thankful.
Yeah.
That I stuck it out.
We used to be in the little white thing. They used to kill on us.
Yeah.
You'd be driving. be driving that thing and it'll just kill when you want to, all up in traffic. And so, you know, that was like a major turning point in our lives where we actually saw God. Okay, like, you know, God is faithful, and so we just continue to trust Him, continue to believe in Him, in His Word, and you know, that began to become the foundation of our lives.
Yeah, that was the foundation of it, and it was awesome. You know, marriage for us, after we kind of got through that process of moving forward, you know, with marriage and everything, we didn't have a clear understanding of what marriage was, because neither one of us came from a background where we were around healthy relationships. You know, I didn't have anyone in my family that I could look up to and say, hey, that's how I want my marriage. And I don't think you had anyone either. And so for us, we didn't know what we was getting into. We just knew that we wanted to be together, and we was trusting, you know, the word that God gave him about our marriage, and we was moving on that. But however, during the time of us moving forward in our marriage, we didn't have a general idea of what marriage was. But for a long time, we would just hang out with married couples, and we would like look at their marriage
and just kind of like pick and point these things. Like, this, we not gonna do this right here.
Yeah,
this look like it'll work. This will flow. But that we definitely not doing that. And I think that ultimately allowed us to create our marriage to be our own thing, and we weren't trying to be anyone else. We wasn't trying to make our marriage fit anyone else's mold, but we created our own marriage, of course with God at the center. But you know, she allowed me to be me, I allowed her to be her, and then, you know, we just brought that together. And I think that's what really to this day allows our marriage to really flow the way it flows. Is because we're open to who each other is. I'm not trying to force her to become me. She's not trying to force me to become her, but we're growing together, we're evolving together. And so I think that's been that momentum we've been riding, and that's become our blueprint for our marriage, is to really just remain us and who we are, and trust God.
Yeah. And I think that if I had any encouraging words to say to any body that's already married, or, you know, seeking to be married, like, yes, they do have married couples that we can look to as an example or an ideal of what we want, but the best thing to do is to create your own ideal for marriage. Still stick to the blueprint of what God ordained it to be, but really just doing your own thing and allowing your marriage to be fun, to be creative, to be what you and your spouse want to be, because that what works for us.
With that, man, we just want to thank everybody for just kind of chilling with us, kind of vibing with us tonight. Of course, being together 17 years. 17 years. Being married 8.
We've been married 8. Actually, this year we'll make 9.
This year 9 years, man. It's kind of hard to compile all of our experience together in this video. So be sure to like, to subscribe, and definitely hit that notification bell so that you can see when we upload, because we want to share different things that we've learned along the way and that we're still learning today, things that we implement to help us in our marriage. So we thank you guys. Remember, leave any comments or questions down below, and we look forward to the next video.